The story opens on a distant frontier planet called Signer 4, one of many outposts held by the Terran Defense Alliance during the tense years of the Vrexel incursion. The war hadn't reached full scale yet, but tension had been rising across the galactic rim. The humans were deploying advanced cadets from their military academies to forward posts as part of live training operations. The purpose wasn't combat, it was strategic observation, real-time communications support, and diplomacy. Alira Vance and Kai Mercer, two top cadets from Earth's elite Terran Defense Academy, had been stationed there as part of such a mission. They were close partners in training, best friends, and perhaps even more than that, though the story never outright says. What is clear is that their bond is deep, forged by shared experiences, mutual respect, and something unspoken between them. At the start of the scene, Alira and Kai are inside the comms tower, monitoring data feeds and maintaining long range. Transmissions with the orbital command station. It's quiet, calm, boring, even, until everything goes wrong. Without warning, the Vrexel attack. The Vrexel are described as four-legged, chitin-armored alien creatures, predatory and merciless. Instead of targeting military assets first, they go straight for the communication systems in civilian areas. The attack is swift and surgical, disabling shields, tearing through the base's outer defenses in minutes. The entire purpose is not conquest, it's extermination. Alira and Kai are caught completely off guard. Their orders were clear: observe only, do not engage. They aren't even issued weapons. But the Vrexel don't care about Terran rules. A plasma bolt hits the tower. The world erupts in smoke and chaos. Amid the panic, Kai does something instinctive and brave. He pushes Alira behind cover. The last full act of his life, the Vrexel spot them. One plasma shot. Center mass Kai goes down. The story slows here. Lyra scrambles to him, crawls through smoke and falling debris, her ears ringing. She finds him bleeding out, his uniform torn and stained. His eyes lock onto hers, not in fear, but in desperate clarity. His final words are not for comfort. They are a plea: don't let them leave. That moment becomes the hinge point of Alira's entire transformation. She holds his body not in a melodramatic, tear-filled breakdown, but with the kind of controlled sorrow that humans on the edge of collapse express. She doesn't scream. She doesn't cry. She just holds him a single moment, and then something snaps. This isn't just the death of a friend. It's a betrayal of the rules, of their trust, of the supposed order that the galaxy was built upon. This was supposed to be a learning mission, a peaceful posting. The Vrexel didn't just break military protocol. It killed a defenseless cadet. From this moment on, Alira changes. The world around her, the fire, the alien voices, the screams over open comms, fade into silence. There is only the weight of Kai's body, the feeling of his blood on her hands, and the echo of his final request in her ears. It isn't vengeance she's after. It's justice by fire. The paragraph ends with a quiet, impactful sentence, and something inside her broke. This is the narrative turning point. Alira goes from being a cadet student, a learner, an observer, to becoming something else, something the Vrexel will come to fear. Her grief doesn't paralyze her. It awakens her survival instinct, her training, her analytical mind. Everything that made her one of the top Terran cadets now becomes a weapon. The first part of the story sets the emotional foundation for everything to follow. It presents a sudden, visceral loss. But more importantly, it showcases the core theme of many HFY stories. When pushed too far, humans don't just fight back, they rise with purpose. Alira is no longer just a name. She's about to become a legend. Part 2 picks up immediately after Alira Vance's transformation begins. The cold shock of Kai's death has passed, and something deeper and more dangerous takes root in her focused rage and clear intent. She no longer thinks like a cadet. She thinks like someone on a mission. The title of this part, Protocol Breach, holds deep meaning. It's not just about breaking military guidelines. It's about a shift in identity. From this point forward, Alira stops acting under the Academy's training and begins operating on pure human instinct, tactical calculation, and vengeance-driven clarity. The locker Alira's first action is deliberate. She finds an emergency locker in the Combs Tower standard fixture at any military outpost. The locker contains a reinforced pressure suit meant to withstand vacuum exposure and light energy. Fire a shock baton for non-lethal subduing. Commonly used by security staff, a field-modifiable plasma tool, typically used for construction or equipment repair. Not combat to anyone else. These are basic survival tools. To Alira, they are the foundation of a warpath. She arms herself not recklessly, but with precision. The story notes she's not doing this in blind rage. Her decision is methodical. She adapts the plasma tool for high output, bursts dangerous, likely unstable, but enough to burn through alien armor. In that moment, Alira makes her first real choice as something more than a cadet. She chooses to break protocol, and in doing so, she becomes exactly what the Vrexel didn't prepare for, a funeral of her own before leaving the tower. Alira doesn't forget Kai. She drags his body into a corner, wraps it in torn emergency thermal cloth, and places his Terran Defense Academy badge over his chest. It's a silent, symbolic act, her own version of a funeral rite. There's no ceremony, no words, just a whisper. Let them remember. That simple act conveys her transformation. She's not looking to survive. She's looking to make sure the Vrexel never forget what they did. Into the hunt, once she's armed. She leaves the tower and vanishes into the ruins of the outpost. At this point, the Vrexel haven't noticed her. Their attention is still on destroying infrastructure, hurting terrified civilians, and disabling the last automated defenses. They believe the humans are broken, but when they do notice her, they make a fatal mistake. She's just one person. She's small, female, alone, visibly unarmored, with what looks like a basic tool in her hand, so they laugh. Alien laughter is described as guttural and harsh, an ugly sound that echoes across scorched concrete. This brief moment is important. It shows how the Vrexel perceive humanity. Weak, emotional, beneath notice. Alira answers that arrogance the only way humanity knows how she burns a hole clean through a Vrexel commander's chest. The plasma tool. Now overloaded and stripped of its safety protocols. Punches through the alien's armored carapace and leaves a sizzling wound. He dies before he can even scream. In that instant, Alira grabs his weapon, a plasma rifle, and drops the modified tool. It was never meant for prolonged use, and it's now glowing with unstable heat. But it did what it needed to. She has what she needs now. A real weapon, and a reason to use it. The laughter dies. That moment changes the battlefield. The nearby Vrexel stop laughing. Now they scream, call for backup, and turn their rifles toward her. But it's too late. Alira's already on the move, using debris and fire as cover. Her cadet training kicks in not just tactics, but pattern analysis, terrain adaptation, and reflex drills drilled into her from years of simulation, and now. It's real. But more than her training is at work here. She fights with something. Alien to the Vrexel, a human capacity for wrath fueled by loss. She's not fighting to win. She's fighting because she has nothing left to lose. The aliens realize too late that they didn't just shoot a cadet. Marks a critical evolution in Alira Vance's transformation from grief-stricken cadet to a cold, calculating ghost of vengeance. Where Part 2 was about personal loss and her first strike, Part 3 is about escalation. She's not reacting anymore. She's taking control of the battlefield. Silencing the sectors, the story opens with a chilling observation. Vrexel squads in Sector 12 have gone silent, and Sector 9 and Sector 2. This is not random. Silences reflect Alira's path as she moves through the base like a shadow. She's no longer improvising. She's creating a system of terror, methodically isolating squads, picking them off, and disrupting their communications. The language used in this part changes too. The prose slows, becomes tense and grim, reflecting how Alira is no longer running, she's stalking. There's a notable moment. Vrexel units initially believe the missing squads are due to come disruptions or orbital interference. But by the third unit gone, they know something is hunting them, and the only witness to survive. It describes her not as a soldier or a human, but as a wraith covered in blood. Weaponizing Fear Part 3 is as much psychological warfare as it is physical. Illyria has adapted from the first ambush. She's no longer relying on stolen weapons alone. Now, she uses Vrexel, Techiverse, engineered weapons, explosive charges, sabotage, traps in devastating ways. She leaves plasma rifles rigged to explode when picked up. She reroutes base power to short out Vrexel tactical visors, blinding them in key locations. She records Vrexel screams and plays them through damaged intercoms to lure patrols into ambushes. She turns their own wounded against them, using false cries for help as bait. All of this tells us something critical. Illyria isn't just angry, she's intelligent and tactical. Every action she takes is designed not just to kill, but to unravel their discipline. She's using terror as a force multiplier. The Vrexel don't know what they're up against. As the silence spreads, so does fear. Some commanders believe she's not alone, that a Terran strike force must have landed. They send scouts. She turns the scouts into warnings. The pattern of death, the middle portion of Part 3, shows us how the Vrexel begin to shift tactics, doubling up patrols, avoiding certain sectors, refusing to move at night. This is telling. The Vrexel are breaking. These are battle-hardened alien warriors. And they're now shooting shadows, seeing Illyria in every flicker of flame or heat signal. It's classic psychological breakdown, and it shows us that Illyria is more than just a threat. She's becoming a myth in real time. Her use of silence, traps, and precision creates an aura of omnipresence. The story hints that she's not sleeping, not eating, just moving from one strike to the next. Blood-streaked and merciless, cutting off the exit, but it isn't enough for Illyria to punish them. She remembers Kai's last words, "Don't let them leave." She takes it literally. She tracks down the alien shuttles, parked and guarded near the eastern landing platform. She doesn't have the firepower to destroy them yet, so she does something smarter. She hacks their systems. Using basic academy-level encryption skills, combined with what she's learned from Vrexel tech, she disables their command uplink. The ships can't launch. They're grounded, locked in low-power diagnostic loops, and she leaves no trace. To the Vrexel, the ships simply fail. Their calls for help go unanswered. Their escape routes vanished. They are trapped. And that's when the fear becomes panic. No way out. By the end of Part 3, Illyria has completely reversed the power dynamic. The Vrexel invaded with overwhelming force. They now operate in fear of a single human. Their teams are isolated. Commanders are dead or hiding. Their shuttles are locked. Their orbit comms are jammed. Lyra controls the battlefield. Now, but what makes this section powerful isn't just her tactical brilliance. It's the way the story shows how grief and rage, when filtered through discipline and intelligence, become a force of nature. Illyria is never described as joyful or satisfied with her kills. She is not enjoying this. She is driven. Driven by the image of Kai's blood on her hands. Driven by the silence that came after his final breath. Driven by the knowledge that every moment she spares them is a dishonor to his memory. Conclusion of Part 3. Part 3 is the crescendo of Illyria's metamorphosis. She's not just surviving, she's turning the entire battlefield into a message. And the message is simple. You killed one of ours. Now you get all of me. She's no longer just Illyria Vance to the Vrexel. She is a nightmare in human skin, and she's only just getting started. By Part 4, Illyria Vance has become more than a soldier or cadet. She has become a specter of vengeance, figure of psychological domination on a battlefield she now fully controls. But Part 4 isn't just about how she fights, it's about why. This is the part of the story where the galaxy starts to take notice, and where Illyria transitions from a local legend into a symbol of what happens when you push humanity too far. Arrival of reinforcements. The part begins with the arrival of Terran reinforcements. For days after the initial attack, they come expecting a Massacrean outpost burned. All personnel dead, and Vrexel banners hung over human corpses. Instead, what they find is far more unsettling. The outpost is in ruins, but eerily quiet. Fires still burn, but no plasma bolts fly. Corpses are everywhere, Vrexel corpses. It's mutilated and arranged with a kind of calculated violence. It's not just that Lyra killed them. It's how she did it tanned, how she wanted them to be found. Art of War and Memory, the story describes the Vrexel bodies in ritualistic formations stacked, posed, sometimes even painted with their own ichor. This wasn't done for cruelty. It was done to send a message. These are not the actions of a mindless killer. They are the work of someone trying to make a statement that lasts. In war, there are strategies for defeating enemies. But there are also strategies for breaking future enemies before they even rise. Lyra has studied this. She's applied it, and now she's created a battlefield that isn't just a site of death, it's a monument of terror. Not just for the Vrexel, but for anyone who might one day consider attacking humanity. The center of the stormat, the heart of it all, sits Lyra. She's found by the reinforcements on the steps of the destroyed academy, sitting in silence. Bloodied, bruised, but alive. Her pressure suit is scorched. Her expression is hollowed, the face of someone who has spent 4 days living on adrenaline. Grief and rage. Next to her lies Kai's body, now wrapped in salvaged burial cloth. She's placed his badge, the very symbol of their shared journey, on his chest. It's not for the Terran soldiers. It's not for ceremony. It's for him. It's a final promise. Fulfilled. She didn't let them leave. The data chip, one of the most important moments in the entire story, happens next. Lyra stands, walks to the lead Marine, and hands him a small object, a data chip. She says only one line. Let the galaxy see what they started. Let them know what happens when you take one of ours. This line is powerful because it flips the original tragedy into an interstellar warning. The chip contains everything. Helmet cam footage, combat logs, drone recon replays, Vrexel transmissions, sound files of their screams, her own voice. Speaking only once over Kai's body, what Lyra has done is document her war, not for fame, it's not even for justice, but for memory. The Vrexel need to remember. The galaxy needs to understand. Earth does not forget. And it never forgives when you kill its young. Broadcasting the truth, when the footage is uploaded, spreads like wildfire. Galactic news feeds, war analysts, political forums, even black market channels, the chip becomes legendary. In less than one standard day, it's viewed by billions across multiple systems. Alien species that once saw humans as brutal but disorganized now see the truth. Behind every Terran smile is a spark of flame, and when that spark is fed grief, it becomes an inferno. The Vrexel Empire tries to suppress the footage. They call it propaganda. They claim it was the work of multiple operatives, but even their own surviving scouts tell the truth in hushed voices. It was one human, one cadet, covered in blood, eyes like fire. Symbol born in silence. What makes this part especially powerful is its contrast. There's no final shootout. There's no dramatic last stand. There's just silence, memory, and a girl who won a war without needing an army. The battlefield itself becomes her testament. Her silence becomes louder than the Vrexel's weapons. Her presence speaks more than any speech could. And that data chip doesn't just tell the story of Kai's death. Serves as the resolution, legacy, and emotional echo of the entire story. It zooms out from the carnage on Signer 4 and shows how Lyra Vance's personal war becomes galactic history. This final part doesn't focus on action, but rather on consequences. The final battles are over. What remains is memory, fear, and legend. A cadet no more. The story begins by stating plainly, she didn't return to the academy. It's a subtle line with heavy meaning. Lyra Vance, once a cadet of the Terran Defense Academy, no longer belongs in the training halls. She has seen and done more than most graduates would in a decade. She hasn't just passed her trial, she rewrote the trial itself. But it's not about promotion. It's about transformation. Lyra has outgrown the title of cadet. She has become something else, something not made by Earth, but forged in fire and grief. From name to legend, across Terran space, her story spreads faster than the Vrexel could stop it. Her name is printed on recruitment posters with the tagline, "One of ours fell. She made them pay." It's whispered among military instructors and cadets in training. Tactical schools dissect her battle footage as case studies. In asymmetric warfare, her tactics are used in lectures about how to win when you're alone, outgunned and fueled by raw human tenacity. But beyond Earth, beyond human borders, she becomes a warning. Her footage, her image helmet off, blood drying across her face. Standing over alien corpses with a burning plasma rifle, circulates in Vrexel black market forums and underworld communication nets. Her face becomes a sigil of dread. A haunting reminder, Part 5, tells us that the Vrexel try to erase the memory of what happened on Signer 4. They call it an unfortunate tactical misstep. Try to pin it on communication breakdowns or infiltration by a Terran Special Forces team. But their soldiers know the truth because they saw her, and now. Every time a human fleet approaches a Vrexel-held world, panic spreads faster than plasma fire. Rumors swirl. Is she on that ship? Is the girl from Signer 4 with them? Entire garrisons retreat at rumors in whispered circles. She's no longer called Alira. She's just the one who burned the sky. More than vengeance, what makes this final part emotionally resonant is how it reframes Alira's war. Yes, she killed for Kai. Yes, she hunted the Vrexel out of grief. But in doing so, she gave humanity something greater, a shield made of memory. In fear in war, history is often written by the victors. But legends are written by those who refuse to be forgotten. Alira didn't just make the Vrexel regret their invasion, she etched their regret into galactic memory. Every species that watches the footage knows this truth. Earth's soldiers might fall. But if you take one of theirs, someone will command. They won't stop until your world remembers. Symbolism of the Badge One. Of the most haunting symbols revisited in this part is Kai's badge. The same one Alira placed on his chest when she buried him. The story tells us she now carries a copy of that badge with her everywhere, not in honor, but as a promise. She doesn't wear medals. She doesn't accept parades. She drags that badge. Behind her in the dirt of every battlefield she walks, like a flag, like a curse, like a memory that refuses to fade. Every time the Vrexel hear it clink, they know who has come. Beyond one world, the final scenes hint that Alira doesn't stop at CYG and AR-4, while Earth promotes her name. She herself vanishes into classified missions, often appearing without announcement during Black Ops operations or critical retaliatory strikes. She is a ghost, a presence that precedes Earth's wrath. When diplomatic negotiations begin between the Terran Alliance and other species, Alira's name is never officially brought up, but across the table, alien envoys often go pale when they see a female operative in silence, with a dragging chain holding a Terran badge. They never ask her name. They already know. The final message. The story closes with a poetic mirror of its title. She held his body for a moment.
Ow.
Then she made them pay forever. It's not hyperbole. It's prophecy. Because forever isn't just about her actions. It's about the memory she created, the myth she carved into the bones of war, the lesson she branded into history. Her vengeance wasn't wild. It was surgical, cold, eternal, because humans may grieve.
Hurts.
But they do not forget, and Alira Vance ensured that no one else would either.